Hello and welcome to the studio. So, skin tones. All different colours of skin, and none of it is pink. It really isn't. Wonderful tones, mid-tones, highlights, shadows. Now, we need to work out a simple way of making skin tones, and it's a very complex type of thing to mix, but if you've got some base mixes, so mixes we can adjust to make them darker or lighter, that type of thing, then life's going to be a lot easier. So what I'm going to show you today is a couple of different base mixes. Once you get used to using the base mix, and then you can alter it whatever way you want. We'll have a little look at that as we progress. So let's have a look down and see what I'm getting up to today. So as we look down, I've been playing around with a few different mixes. I've got three main mixes there, which are going to be main basically main colors that you can adjust, and I've also got some modifying colors that I've worked on there which we can add to these colors and change them. So there's two mixtures which I call modifying colors, and these are to lighten down flesh colors or deepen or bronze or get that reddish color that we want to warm up or cool down those colors with. So without further ado, let's have a quick look at what I've got planned here. So we've got three types of red. We have got a cadmium red, there we are. We have got a vermilion red, and we have got a crimson red. Now these are going to be my base reds, which I'm going to be putting onto my palette shortly. The first thing I want to do is add some cadmium red there, like that. Let's put a little bit of cadmium red and get myself a brush, because I'm not that organized. Get myself a brush. So I'm just using any old brush, doesn't matter what brush I got. The first one I'm going to be adding to that is a yellow ochre. There we go. So I got a yellow ochre and red. There we are. So I'm going to put yellow ochre and red. So yellow ochre and cadmium red first of all. So we need to mix these two colors together. So let's pull a little bit of yellow ochre and then just bring in a bit of red to that, like this. And that's going to make our base color. This is a base color which we can play with. We certainly can. So you can see that's a lovely, already that's like a lovely flesh tony type of color. So let's put that there, like that. So this is cadmium red and yellow ochre. So there's our base color for our flesh tones, which we can lighten, darken and warm and cool up. There we go. So using that color now, what if we get a bit of that color there? There we are. So you mix up some of this. Sometimes what I tend to do is put them in tubes like this. So once I mix up a color, I can actually put these base colors into tubes like this, because I make my own paints anyway. So once that's, or you can make some, get those little pill boxes or something like that. Okay, so next thing we want to do is lighten our color with some titanium white. So let's put our titanium white there. There we are, a little bit of white. So let's lighten our color now with a touch of white and see what we got with that. There we are. So lighten our color, and then we got a lovely color there. So that's cadmium red, yellow ochre and a little bit of white, and you can see you can take that down a little bit lighter if you wanted to. You can play with these colors. Like I said, this is just a base mix, just a base mix. So that's what it looks like with some titanium white added. Now what we need to do now is add another color to that. Now Vermilion green is a lovely color. You can see if you can get your hands on some Vermilion green, that is the one you need. So that's Vermilion green. So let's continue mixing a bit of this cadmium red and that yellow ochre together. There we go. There's our base mix. And let's put a bit of that there like that. Now adding a bit of Vermilion green to that. And you want a small amount. Because believe it or not, there's quite a bit of green in skin. So get that lovely colour. There's another skin tone colour that we can add to our selection of colours. So cadmium red, yellow ochre and Vermilion green. And of course this could be lightened with white if you wanted to as well. But for now we're just looking at base colours. Just basic colours for skin tones. So that's cadmium red, yellow ochre and Vermilion green. Okay, so what's the next one? Well, let's add a little bit of blue this time. So I got some ultramarine blue. Let's put a bit of ultramarine blue down there and see what that will give us. So again, going back into our base mix, which is cadmium red and yellow ochre. It's a lovely colour. Let's put that bit of that there like this. And let's add a little bit of ultramarine blue to that now and see what that gives us. So that's going to cool our colour down a bit. So you can mix on a palette like this, or you can just mix it on your canvas. It's entirely up to you how you do it. I'm just going to add a little bit more blue into that. So the yellow and the blue is going to turn a green. So that's what we did there, really. If you think about it, we just added green directly into that. But this ultramarine blue, it gives us a lovely dark, rich tone to a skin tone like that. There you go. Let's just wash that brush out. And we got one more to do, which is, believe it or not, burnt umber. My favourite darkening colour and toning colour out of everything is burnt umber. So let's just get this again. So this is our base mix, which is cadmium red and yellow ochre. And I'm just painting on paper at the moment. So we'll just put a block of that down. Let's get some burnt umber now. A little bit of burnt umber on the brush. I'm mixing that into that skin tone. Like that. Again, another rich type of colour. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've actually got 5 base mixes there, which will give you a lovely selection and choice for playing around with colours. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've added yellow ochre now and Vermilion. That's that one. Yellow ochre and Vermilion. You can get Vermilion in different brands. It just happens to be the ones I've got. Again, let's mix our base colour. Vermilion is it's a more yellow red. I find it it's a lovely, Vermilion's a lovely colour. It's a cooler type of red then, in my opinion. You can see there is a difference. So let's do that again. This is Vermilion and yellow ochre. And these are my favourite bases for skin tones, and then I can play around with these simplified versions of skin tones. So it's Vermilion and yellow ochre there. Okay, so bit of base colour again, Let's put that there. And what did we add to this particular one? Then we added white, didn't we? So let's get some white and let's do exactly the same type of thing. And just add white to that particular colour. As I said, you can play around with lightening and darkening these colours, cooling them off, warming them up. So there's another skin tone, which could sit really nicely against the top one there. So two different types of reds with a little bit of white and some yellow ochre will give a little contrast in colours there. Wash my brush very quickly. Again, going back into my base mix, getting a bit of that out. And we added some Viridian Green to Vermilion and yellow ochre, which is going to give us another lovely skin tone like that, which we can play with. We can lighten, we can cool down, we can darken. Not that you want to darken this particular one much. It depends on what type of skin tone you were trying to paint. Let's go back into our base mix. There we go. Bush. It's fun. It's fun doing this. Sit there sometimes and just grab some paint and try some different mixes, because I tell you, this is the easiest way I've found of making skin tones. It really is. Ultramarine blue into your skin tone mix. It's just a bit more in there. We can make that quite dark if we wanted to. There you go. What a lovely colour. What a lovely skin tone colour. You can add burnt umber to that to darken it, or you can add white to it to lighten it. But there's another Vermilion, yellow ochre and ultramarine blue. Back into our base colour, which is Vermilion and yellow ochre. And you want to add a little bit more red to that. If you want to redden this up a bit, just play around with your base colour. Once you get used to getting a base colour, you get used to the look of it and you think, yeah, that's fine. I'm not going to go into measurements and one part this and one part that, and that's quite confusing. So we're going to add some burnt umber to that one. Like that. Just add a bit more in there. Vermilion, yellow ochre, base mix added then with a little bit of burnt umber. So we got another skin tone there. Whoa! Now we cooking with gas. So now I've added to the palette some alizarin crimson. So let's put a little bit of that down. Let's get our yellow ochre. Let's make our base mix. Wow, look at that, it's nice and rich, this one. This is a nice red, rich type of skin tone. Already quite dark, but I like that colour. There we are, let's put that one there. Now you can add different yellows. You can add a Naples yellow to this as well, or you can add a cadmium yellow light to this. I'm just using yellow ochre, so try this out with a couple of different yellows in the same way and you'll get a lot more results. But I want to simplify things. Like, you know that I always like to do things simplified in a simple fashion and try and keep things as simple as possible. Keep it simple, stupid, as they say. And believe it or not, the simplest ways are sometimes the best ways to achieve things. But if you wanted to change the yellows, then please feel free to do this and practice with different yellows in exactly the same way as I'm doing. So I'm using the alizarin crimson and yellow ochre in this particular instance, and I've just added a bit of white to it. And as I said, you can take this down as light as you want. You can see that's going quite a nice light warm. You've got a nice warm skin tone there where that is a bit cooler. There we go. So that's that one with a bit of white. Again, back into our base mix. Trying to keep these mixes as uniform as possible. Plenty of scope to play with the colours. And when you mix in like this, you can mix on the fly, as I call it. You can change things about. So let's go into some Vermilion green and add that into that colour. When you're painting a portrait, all these colours will work together really nicely. So there's another wonderful colour with the alizarin crimson and yellow ochre and Vermilion green. Again, washing my brush, going back into my skin tone mix. Trying to keep it as uniform as possible. Putting that in there. There we go. Lovely. I like playing like this. It's quite soothing actually to practice. A little bit of ultramarine blue this time. Oops. Bit of ultramarine blue this time. Just mixing that in. So you can mix this with a palette knife or you can mix it with a brush. It's fine because you've got a base colour. So there's your base colour. You've mixed a nice little batch of that, and like I said, you've either put it in a tube like that, or you've put it in a tube like that, or you've just got a little container that you've put it in, and you could squeeze a bit of that out and then you can add white to it, or you can add Vermilion to it, or in this case I'm adding ultramarine blue to it. So that's what I mean by you've made it easy for yourself, because you've already got those. They're your master colours. You've already mixed them, and you've got a nice little batch of those mixed up in a tube or in a tin or whatever, you on a pill box or something like that. And then you can just play around with adding these different colours to it. So that's the key, really, is to make things very simple for yourself. You don't have to work hard when it comes to painting. You just need to know these little skills and techniques that will make life a lot easier for yourself in a studio environment. And that's what I tend to do, is I work smart and not hard. And over the years of making YouTube videos, I have found many ways of cutting corners, but not at the risk of losing quality in the work that I do outside of YouTube. So a little bit of burnt umber now, because I do a lot of painting outside of YouTube. I do a lot of commission work, etc. And I just love painting anyway. You don't even have to sell anything. I just love to sit and paint. Burnt umber mix there, like that. So the next stage is to just show you some cooling and warming colours. Now I'm going to show you a purple mix, how to mix a nice cool purples, which we can add and to modify these colors. So this color you'll pre-mix and put them in a tube or something, and then you can adjust that particular purple, and you can add that into the mix, and I'll show you what I mean. So the first one I'm going to do is some alizarin crimson. Let's just get a little bit of alizarin crimson like that. There you go. And then we'll need some viridian green. So let's just get a little bit of viridian green like that, and let's just mix that colour together. And what you're looking for is a nice dark colour like this. And you look, it's gone like a purpley colour. I don't believe you, Clive. Well, I tell you what we'll do, just to prove to you that is a little bit purple. Let's get a little bit of white and add that in there like this. Oops, just touch the green, a little bit of white. You can see that's actually starting to turn purple. And let's add a little bit more white. And let's add a little bit more white. And add a little bit more white. And add a bit more white. Let's add a lump of white. You can see I can take that right down. I can take that right down. Let me just wash my brush. And down it'll go, all the way down. So that's a nice cool purple mix. Now we can add a little touch of this, baby. Let's get a nice little touch of this white. There we are. We can add that into that. You can see what I mean. When you're adding into that colour, you can actually cool that down like that, and you've got a lovely skin tone there. And we'll do another one. Let's just get a bit of this colour, this purple, and we'll add that into there before it dries on me. There we are. You see what I mean? There we go. So just adding a little bit of this to that, and that's a nice cool purple mix that we've made there now. So the next thing I want to do is get some alizarin crimson. So we're going to make another purple colour, and we're going to make this into a warm purple, and we're going to use some viridian green again. Let's get a little bit of viridian green, which is that one there. So once you've made a bit of that, there's an amazing thing that's going to happen now, because we're going to add another colour to this. See, there's a lovely purple. That is a lovely purple to make anyway. If you think about it, that's a lovely purple to make anyway. So what we're going to do now is add some burnt umber to that. Ooh, that's going to make it nice and warm now. A little bit more burnt umber to that. There we are. And let's just spread that out like that. So that's another purple. This is our warming purple. So we need to get some white on our brush. And again, what a lovely purple that's going to be. There we are. And adding that in. I'm just going to wash the brush. And a bit more white. So you can see that purple is going to be, it's going to be much warmer. And again, we could add that into a skin tone like this. Like that. Let's just get a little bit of water. Let me just get a little bit of water and just loosen that paint up there. So when we get a bit of this, we can change that one as well. So you've got a nice warm purple, which is that one. So we've got our warm mix and our cool mix there. So this particular one is just alizarin crimson and viridian with white. This is alizarin crimson with viridian and burnt umber and white. And these are going to be the warming and the cooling colours you can add to these particular mixes. And what you can do, you can add whites and to these mixes as well, or you can add some yellows to them. Whatever floats your boat now. And there's so many different types of skin tones out there. We can cool them down, we can warm them up. There's shadow colours, And I think for our light values and our mid values and our darker values, we can add specks of white. We can add white to all these master copies. We can add a little bit of yellow to them. Again, in our mid-tones range, we can add a little bit of white on our dark colors, and then we can add a little bit of white again, just to lighten them down. Or we can warm them up with a warming purple, or we can cool them down with our cooling purple. So there we go. There's my skin tone palette, which is very, very simple. Follow that and you shouldn't go far wrong. So there you go. There's a little test that I did earlier, and this was the lesson that you've just watched. I hope that has been of use. Give it a try. Don't forget, if you can get some tubes, even better, because you can always pre-mix paints. Even if you buy paint, you can always mix that colour, put it in a tube and keep it for later. That is a handy thing. That's how I started mixing my own brands of paint, because I went from doing that to actually learning how to mix my own colours. Now I've got a full range of colours, and there's not a colour out there in the rainbow that I can't mix. So if you want to stay with me again, I will show you some more mixing recipes. But in the meantime, stay safe, and I'll see you in the studio for another lesson.